Imagine if it was possible to replace all the fossil fuel in the world with a cheap CO2 negative alternative. Imagine no more. Introducing NextFuel, the next step in the evolution of energy. Throughout history, new innovations have always driven the world forward. For thousands of years, mankind only used wood to fire with. Then, in the 18th century, coal was discovered and made the Industrial Revolution possible. The discovery of oil invented a transportation industry and made the world smaller. Although wind and solar are growing quickly, more than 80% of the world's energy still comes from the burning of fossil fuels. The reason is simple. Our entire energy infrastructure is based on the burning of fossil fuels, making it impossible for other energy sources to fast replace them. Until now. After a technological breakthrough, we at NextFuel can now produce a clean copy of fossil fuel made of grass in less than 30 minutes. A fuel that can directly replace fossil fuels in today's energy infrastructure. A fuel that is cheaper than oil and cheaper than coal in most markets. A fuel that does not rely on subsidies or hurt economic growth. A fuel that can slow deforestation and reverse desertification. A fuel that is even reducing the CO2 in the atmosphere. So how is this possible? Instead of using wood from trees that takes decades to grow, we plant and use fast-growing grass like bagasse and elephant grass. Elephant grass is a plant that grows 4 meters in 100 days, giving us several crops of harvest each year. This plant can grow on cheap marginal land not suitable for food production that there is plenty of all around the world. Since the grass stores a percentage of the CO2 it absorbs from the atmosphere below ground when the grass is growing, our entire process becomes CO2 negative. After the grass is harvested, we fed it into our revolutionary patented reactor. In less than 30 minutes, we turn this grass into a clean copy of fossil fuel. This CO2 negative fuel can profitably replace coal, oil, natural gas, wood pellets, and charcoal, all around the world. A coal plant can replace some or all of its coal with this cheap and clean alternative directly without any changes to its infrastructure. In the long run, we can even make every coal plant in the world CO2 negative just by switching fuel. NextFuel is creating economic growth by doing the opposite of the fossil fuel industry. Instead of increasing the world's CO2 emissions, our process is actually reducing the CO2 in the atmosphere with each completed cycle of planting grass and transforming it into a cheap fossil fuel substitute. So, why continue to burn fossil fuels when we finally have a new, profitable alternative to burn that is cheap, CO2 negative, and massively scalable? Arthur Koestler once said, "The more original a discovery, the more obvious it seems afterward." Welcome to the future of energy. NextFuel, the clean successor to fossil fuels. www.nextfuel.com